Today we use Node and Nextjs to build a task manager. Our server will create, retrieve, delete, and complete tasks. So let's go. In a directory named Backend, use npm init to initiate a package.json. Dependencies needed are Express, Body Parser, and Cores. Express for building our backend server, Body Parser to parse JSON data requests, Cores for enabling cross-origin sharing, which allows front-end and back-end to communicate. Initialize the Express app and specify the port. To carry the load of a database, we're utilizing the task array. In production, please be sure to use a database. Now we need our API endpoints. First, we define an API endpoint for fetching all tasks using a GET request. When a request is made to localhost/API/task, the server responds by sending a task array as JSON. To create a new task, we have a post endpoint. When a post is made with the task in the request body, we add it to the task array and respond with the success message. In deleting tasks, we use a delete endpoint. The index parameter in the URL identifies the index of the task to be deleted. If the index is valid, we and respond with the successful message, and we'll return a bad request. To mark a task complete, we're going to use a put endpoint. We use the index parameter to identify the task to be marked as complete. If the index is valid, we update the property of the task and respond with a success message. Now in the terminal, let's run npm run dev. In the terminal, create a directory. Use npx to create a Nextjs app. No TypeScript, no SR. Install Axios for HTTP requests. In the front-end directory, remove the code from the page.js file. Start by indicating this will import Axios. Use state and use effect from React. Define a functional component named task. This component is responsible for rendering the user interface. We manage our application state using the useState hook. We define two pieces of state: task to hold the list of tasks and new tasks to manage the user input for creating new tasks. To load existing tasks, we use the useEffect hook. This function makes a GET request to our backend API endpoint to retrieve the list of tasks. The response data is then set to the task state variable. To add new tasks, we're going to implement an add task function. This function sends a post request to our backend API with the new task text. The task is added and the fetch task function is called to refresh the task list. We can delete tasks by using the delete task function. It sends a delete request to the backend API, including the index of the task to be deleted. If the index is valid, the task is removed from the task list array. Then we'll refresh the list. We'll use the mark task complete function to mark a task complete. This function will send a put request to our backend API with the index of the task to be marked complete. If the index is valid, we'll toggle the completed property of the task and refresh the list. Now within the return statement, the input element will allow a user to enter a new task. Its value is controlled by the new task state variable. The onChange event handler listens for changes in the input field and updates the new task state. The add button has the onClick event handler that calls the add task function. When clicked, this function is going to be responsible for. We're going to render an unordered list. The task.map function is used to iterate through the task array and generate a list item for each task. Depending if a task is complete, the CSS classes are conditionally applied. Each task will be displayed within a Flex container. To align the task and action buttons horizontally, the delete and mark complete button have on-click handlers that call delete task and mark task complete functions when clicked.